Good evening, happy Sunday. Welcome on in, Dbacks fans, to another exciting offseason edition of Dbacks Dispatch here with your trio. Actually, I guess could be the entire group here because obviously the three of us on cam, Brandon to my, I guess your right, Gabe to your left, me, myself, Brett, and then we have our man Josh behind the ones and twos, kind of making the magic happen. So we appreciate you guys joining on in here as we have the full squad in here for probably the first time in a long time. But if this is your first time ever stopping by Dbacks Dispatch, obviously welcome in. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to us, whether you're watching us live on YouTube, maybe you're listening to the video after the fact, maybe you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, wherever else you may find your podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning on in and showing us some support. If you are on the YouTube side, like, comment, and subscribe, or liking, commenting, and subscribing does go a long way to helping out the algorithm and all that, and getting us into the eyes of more D-backs fans like yourselves. So we'd appreciate if you did that. Also, we'd appreciate if you guys left any kind of review, whether you think we're a 1-star group, 5-star group, anywhere in between. Again, on wherever you listen to your podcast, we'd appreciate that as well. Make sure you guys also are following us on all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, the big three. And especially because when we get closer into the season, our man Gabe and Josh are going to be cooking up some great memes, as they always do. So definitely a fun count to follow on there. And then also go over to the Snake Pit. It's azsnakepit.com. Great articles over there. Not just our man Josh, who's putting in some great written content after our shows, but some other great writers in there that do a lot of, especially in the off season, player reviews, season reviews, predictions, and all that. And there's a lot of great community involvement too. So if you guys wanted to kind of go let your voice be heard, go to the comment sections on some of their articles and whatnot. Read the articles, let them know what you think and all that. It's a great place to be. Like I said, great staff over there, especially our man Josh. So if you want a little more written content on the dispatch side, then check all that over there. But before we kind of dive into everything, again, we want to appreciate you guys. I think this has been the first time. I know I have a crazy work schedule, so we don't get all three of us in here. But with, I guess it's not non-D-backs news, but with the Semien trade, are you guys kind of surprised? Do you guys think that this is going to be the first domino to fall, and that we're going to see maybe some more potential D-backs news come out soon?
In terms of D-backs news, no, just because the winter meetings and everything is not the time when Mike Hazen does anything really. Last year is when Christian Walker moved on, so I don't know. I think maybe closer to the end of the month is when we might actually see the Diamondbacks do something. But I would be, I guess, pleasantly surprised if suddenly, in the next week or so, we get big news that the D-backs, actually made a real move. I mean, we're gonna talk about James McCann, but I'm talking about a real move to get a starting pitcher, big name, free agent bullpen help, or first or second baseman.
Yeah,
Third baseman, not second base. Sorry.
No, I don't know. So no, it sounds like Gabe's on the side of trading Ketel Marte. I'm just kidding. Yeah, say Brandon, what about you? Do you think that you're in the same boat as Gabe, where you think that we're not going to see any big D-backs moves or any real true notable moves from the D-backs for a couple weeks, or do you think that maybe this is going to be one of the first dominoes to fall, and it's going to get Hazen and other GMs around the league to try to start to pick at the pace a little bit and start building their teams a little bit earlier than they might in the past?
I'm not holding my breath that D-backs do anything within the next 30 days. I think we'll have some smaller moves, like just minor league signings and stuff like that. But I don't expect anything like a Merrill Kelly signing or a Pete Alonso signing. I still love that idea of Pete Alonso in a D-backs uniform. Alex Bregman, again, those moves I don't expect those to happen in the winter meetings, personally, but I would love to be surprised.
Same. I would very much enjoy seeing some new news, but also I want to shout out everybody in our chat. Obviously, we got Supra. I believe that's Cruz, our local Dodger troll. We got our man Disruptive, and then Jeff popping in to actually remind us that this is actually 2 years ago this week the D-backs traded for Eugenio Suarez. So, I know, like Gabe said, usually Mike Hazen doesn't do deals around this time. He has in the past. So, maybe we'll get surprised, but I'm kind of on the same boat as the two gentlemen here. I don't think that we'll see any big notable moves for a little while to come. But at least, some news, or at least some one of the main topics, obviously, that I have here. Also, Arizona Snakes. Hope you're having a great night as well. Love to see you joining in here. Make sure you guys follow them on all the socials. They got some great content as well. But one of the big topics, at least the first one that we wanted to dive into here, was obviously one that's been talked about a lot, especially in the recently, because he did a little bit of a media appearance at a boys and girls event a couple days ago. Is Zac Gallen and the qualifying offer and what that means for the D-backs going forward. And our man Josh actually put together a really, really cool video, kind of to help us explain everything. And I wanted to have us play that right now, just so we can kind of dive into the whole Zac Gallen topic.
Diamondbacks former ace Zac Gallen has officially declined the $22 million qualifying offer and will become a free agent. And the D-backs have a couple different routes they will end up going down depending on where he signs and how much he signs for. Because Gallen rejected the qualifying offer, the D-backs will receive a draft pick if he signs elsewhere. The quality of that pick hinges entirely on his new contract's total value and what team he goes to. Scenario A. Zac Gallen signs a contract over $50 million in value. The Diamondbacks would end up getting a compensatory pick in round 1, which would be a pick around the 30 to 35 range. But if Zac Gallen goes the second round for scenario B and gets a contract under $50 million, whether it's a one-year prove-it contract or just in general, if it's under $50 million, then the D-backs would get a compensatory pick no matter what, but it would be in round B, so pick ranges 65 to 70. So the value of Zac Gallen's contract really does affect how big of a pick the Diamondbacks get in the compensatory round, which they didn't get in last year's draft when they took Ryan Waldschmidt in the round A because of Christian Walker declining the qualifying offer and signing that $60 million contract with the Houston Astros. Zac Gallen now joins a very small club of former Diamondbacks who have received a qualifying offer and declined it and elected to be free agents. Those 4 players are now Patrick Corbin, AJ Pollock, Christian Walker, and of course Zac Gallen. Obviously, Zac Gallen did not have the season that neither him or a lot of other fans expected in 2025, and it has been some discussion on whether it would be worth to keep Zac Gallen if that's the kind of one we're going to be getting, not only just from D-backs fans in the community, but teams and other fans across the league. But his agent Scott Boras does highlight that his average innings pitched over the last couple years from 2022 to 2024, he did average 183.5 innings pitched, so he can still eat innings. And Boras does highlight that and his rare durability as a premium asset in an injury-plagued market, which is a very good point to keeping Zac Gallen. But there are also a few underlying metrics that make it a little bit more of a risky option, considering that he has kind of been on the downward trend since the 2023 All-Star break. The market is very mixed on Zac Gallen on whether or not they want to give him that kind of money that he is searching for, as his 2025 performance was a career worst, not even just in his ERA, but in the amount of home runs that he allowed. And teams are trying to decide, is this just a new trend, or is this going to be a statistical outlier? His career ERA until 2025 was just above 3, in between 3.5, but his ERA in 2025 was in between 4.5 and 5. So saw a big jump in his ERA alone that kind of scared a little bit of teams off. And then also his home run problem. Obviously, Zac Gallen, just like a lot of pitchers in Major League Baseball, can give up home runs from time to time, as his average home runs from 2019 through 2024, he was sitting at around 16 home runs allowed per season on average, which isn't very low, but it isn't in the stratosphere. Whereas in 2025, Zac Gallen allowed 31 home runs across his campaign, which is just a big red flag to not only the D-backs, but a lot of other teams that want to take the risk on giving him the contract that he is looking for. Obviously, free agency is freshly new and has just gotten underway just a couple days ago. So it'll take a while before Zac Gallen officially decides what team he wants to go to. But let us know what your thoughts are. Would you like Zac Gallen to return as a Diamondback? Because we obviously, just like a lot of other teams, are looking for pitching and need Major League ready players. Or would you prefer to see him go to another team considering the contract he's looking for and some of those numbers regarding his ERA and home runs? So let us know those down in the comments. Reach out to us on socials, join our Discord, and let us know your thoughts on the Zac Gallen dilemma as we get closer to seeing some free agency decisions being official in the next coming weeks.
Oh man, Josh, that was a really cool video they put out that you'll probably see on our socials. So again, if you guys are listening to this after the fact, see it on the socials and all that. Go let us know your thoughts and everything. But after kind of seeing what the two scenarios the D-backs can go with, and especially seeing some of the different numbers. Obviously, I know we talked about all the season, just the ERA spike, the home run spike, nearly double the amount. What are your thoughts on the whole Zac Gallen situation? And now that we obviously officially know that he has fully declined the qualifying offer, I guess first question on it would be: A, do you want him to even return as a Diamondback? Do you want him to put on that Diamondback uniform and keep a Diamondback uniform hopefully for the rest of his career? Or would you prefer him to go to elsewhere, considering the amount of money that it might take? And then B, do you think he is going to get over or under that $50 million mark that really does affect whether the D-backs get a round A or round B pick? Gabe, as always, I want to start with you, my friend. Get your thoughts.
So I guess one of the problems with Zac Gallen is just the tale of two cities that he had this season. Just if you look at the first half of the season, he had a good 5.49 ERA. I mean, he did have a good amount of strikeouts. For the most part, just wasn't productive at all for them in the first few months until August 1st. He kind of made that switch after the trade deadline when he became naturally normal Zac Gallen type pitcher. In the second half, starting August 1st, he had a 3.32 ERA, which is just in line about from what we've seen from him with 54 strikeouts in 11 appearances. He was 6-3 at that point. Is what's instrumental with the Diamondbacks comeback in the second half of the season. And it's just one of those things where you don't know what he is. I've always mentioned about looking at the back of a baseball card to see a guy's true value and what he's been and what he's going to be. Some people like Gino or Christian Walker when he struggled, or even Goldschmidt when he struggled in 17 and 18 in those first couple of months when he was batting like 150. Aaron Judge, I think, at the beginning of last season was batting 150 in April. So, he turned around, became MVP, and so do a lot of these other guys that have great seasons in the second half, or even Corbin as well, where you see guys struggle at certain points of the season. And just the unfortunate part for Zac Gallen is just it wasn't just last season. It was the second half of 2023 where he had this pretty severe downturn, whether it was just a mental thing or it was a physical thing. Like if you look at his numbers, there truly wasn't anything there where you're like, oh, well, his velocity dipped down 5 miles an hour. That's why he's struggling or something like that. Like his velocity has gone down a little bit, but it's been, very incremental. It'd been like 1 or 2 miles an hour in the last 3 years or 3 seasons or something like that. Like he shouldn't have had so many issues like he did. But like again, in terms of his value, what other teams see him as, I think everyone just kind of feels the same way right now, whether it's Zac Gallen or the Diamondbacks, where they see that second half ERA, that 3.32, and it's like, okay, well, is that what we're going to get from Zac Gallen, or are we going to get the 5.7 ERA guy we saw in the first half? It's just really confusing right now for Zac Gallen. It's probably the most interesting free agent that there is, just because there's no real value that can be given to Zach right now. Like there's a lot of projections saying 20 to 25, but it's you look at the ERA, it's like, is he worth that much, or is he a 15 million a year, 1 year, 2 years, prove a deal, or is he a guy you give a 5-year contract to and then you get the bargain of the century if you get him for 20 million, or is there a team that's going to overpay him, looking at the baseball card and saying, look, this is how great he was and this is how great he's going to be. And it's just very, very strange with Zac Gallen, what he's going to get, who he is and who he was this season. And as of right now, I think I'm sad to see him reject the qualifying offer. Like I was kind of hoping that he maybe would take it, just because he took so long to take it. And I know we got a video about where he wants to go. I don't know if you guys can play it at some point, but I hope he stays here. I hope the Diamondbacks are able to work out, in a way that can get him paid, and they can also be able to cut the contract in case they need to, because there's not a lot of teams in this. In this league where they can just cut bait on the guy. Like I can't remember what team was, the Mets or whatever. They just let a guy go for like 15 million or 20 million, whatever they had him on. So Hope he stays, but again, it's just very confusing time for Zac Gallen because he can either be a 15 million guy or a 30 million guy.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be, like you said, I always like the way you put it at the back of the baseball card. He's got a couple years of being very consistent, and in the last year and a half, 2.5 years or so, it's definitely seen like a downturn. So it's definitely not the Zach Gallen that we, kind of saw in 21, 22, and even the first half of 23, when he was started the All-Star game. I do agree with you. If we could keep him, it'd be nice to see him like on a little bit of a more team-friendly deal. I was hoping that maybe, agree with you, he would go the route of Shoti Managa and some of those other guys and accept the qualifying offer. But knowing his agent, I'm not surprised at all. I just wish we'd get more Scott Boras puns about Zach Gallen like he has. I mean, the dude's been cooking with puns so far this year. As a fellow dad joke lover myself, I've been really enjoying the kind of dumb shit that Scott Boras has been making his jokes. But yes, I think that everyone always wants pitching, and I know the Orioles need some pitching. I know a couple of teams out there need pitching, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if some team is willing to give him that kind of contract, the 3-4 year, $15 to $20 million ALV that he's probably looking for. But I'm just hoping that obviously, he'll stay here. And we do have a video on him and some of the media that he had, but we'll get to that in a second. I first want to get Brandon's thoughts on the Zach Gallen situation in general. So Brandon, kind of same question to you as well. One, do you want him to return to the desert and be an Arizona Diamondback still, or are you kind of okay with them, kind of going separate ways and seeing him land somewhere else? And then B, do you think he is going to be getting the higher or lower than that $50 million mark that decides if they get a round A or round B compensation pick?
So I go back and forth with Gallen quite a bit. Like, I don't know where I truly stand on it with him because of how hot and cold he has been the last 2 seasons. Really, 24 and 25. I mean, you really could say 2.5. Basically, since the All-Star break of 2023, this Zac Gallen is Jekyll and Hyde. It really what he is. So, do I want to see him back? Yes. Only now because we re-signed James McCann. What James McCann was able to get out of him the second half of the season, to me, was huge. Like, he started to look like the ace that we were accustomed to. So the fact that we brought back James McCann, I'm like, okay, that's the first domino for me that maybe Zac Gallen could come back. I think he likes this. He likes this state. He likes this town. He likes this fan base. Like, he likes this community. I think he wants to stay, but he wants to get paid what he feels he is worth and what his agent feels he's worth. And some of these quotes from Scott Boras, I swear they're AI. There's no way some of these quotes are real. So, but what he's going to get, I think he does get more than 50 mil. I truly do think he is, because of who his agent is. His agent will not allow any team to offer anything less than that. So, do I want to see him back? Yes. If we don't bring him back, am I going to be sad? I don't know. And if we don't, I'm not going to be disappointed. It just means that they have to bring back Merrill. They have to bring back one of the two, in my opinion. Merrill or Zac Gallen. I don't think they'd do both. So that's just me personally. I would like to see him do like a Monty deal, like a 2-year deal where the second year is an option. Make him prove that he is worth. I don't think he's worth a 5-year deal. I do not think he is worth a 5-year deal from what we've seen the last 2 seasons. But this is really going to show, is Scott Boras still the super agent that we all think that he is? So I would love this decision to be made soon, by the way. Like, that would be great if Zac Gallen is one of the first ones off the block. Whether it's we re-sign him or he signs somewhere else, I think the Mets are a good fit. Mets need starting pitching. So we'll see what happens with Zac Gallen.
He also does like pitching in New York. Obviously, we saw 2 of his best starts of the season were both against New York teams in New York. So it seems like he just likes pitching on the East Coast. But yeah, say I mean maybe he's gonna get like a Bregman type deal. Like Bregman has the same agent as Gallen. Bregman got that, kind of like Alonso. They both got like a 1 year. They both went off. They both opted out, trying to get like a bigger contract. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing for Zac Gallen. We can see him, get maybe like a 1 or 2 year prove a deal with like a player opt out after the first year, but still like that $50 million that range. And who knows, maybe the D-backs can try to fork over that money. But I agree with you, Brandon. I think that they needed to go after and bring back at least one of Gallen or Merrill. And again, I wouldn't be upset with either one of them. With either one of them coming back. I wouldn't be upset with either one of them not coming back, but I think that at least one of them needs to return. Obviously, we need pitching. A lot of teams need pitching, but if we want to at least have a shot to be somewhat competitive last year, we got to try to focus on getting actual already established major league pitchers. But obviously, we'll know more about that as we get on to here. But before we get into, we actually have a video of Zac Gallen talking about some of the thoughts and all that regarding his free agency. Want to bring up some of the chats. One of them from Jeff saying that Gallen is a confident guy. I'd love to see him bet on himself and sign a short-term deal with the D-backs, similar to Monty with an opt-out after next season. He can go cash in, kind of like what Brandon was saying. And I think that's what a lot of D-backs fans are hoping, especially because I know we don't have the most amount of money to work with. Like, we don't have Pete Alonso money. We got like maybe Paul Goldschmidt money if we want to bring him back as a platoon player. We don't really have much to work with, but it would be, good for the D-backs at least and try to work with that way. And even Jeff is also saying that Boris was also Monty's agent. So, Scott Boris isn't always a super agent with every player, but, he does seem to hit more than he does miss when it comes to his contract, which, I know another reason why he pushes for those big contracts is because he gets a big cut of it. So he's like, hey, I want to get paid my multi-millions for just being your agent, so I'm going to do it anyway. But it is either way, if Zach leaves or stays or goes, it is nice to see him, still kind of show that he really does love the community here. Obviously, I know there's so many players in history that can talk how much they love the cities they play in, how much they want to be there forever, all that. Some of that can be just media stuff. But he was actually out, I believe, doing a boys and girls event the other day, doing some charity work. Which he doesn't have to. Again, he's a full-time free agent. He doesn't, technically have to do stuff. He can focus on doing his free agent stuff. But it was nice to see him out there still, doing stuff to give back to the community. And he actually did have a few questions that he answered from the media while he was there that we got a video of that we wanted to play for you guys. Just so if you guys didn't see it, at least you guys can kind of know what his own thoughts are on the whole situation as it fully gets into free agency season.
After the game in San Diego is that I would love to be back here. I'd love to be here for the rest of my career. But I think what sometimes gets lost in translation is that's not necessarily always up to the player. So, yeah, I mean, if the opportunity is there and it's something that we deem that is the right fit for us as myself as a player and me and my soon-to-be wife as a family, then, yeah, we'll explore that. But yeah, right now we're just going through the process and we're going to see what happens.
Zach, what are you looking for in terms of fit for you long term?
I thought we were talking about the community today. Just somewhere that I enjoy playing, good team, good culture. Obviously, a good place to pitch is nice. Those are the things, and then we have some other things just that we've kept to ourselves personally that we just are big for us, but. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the biggest things, really.
Yes, I like the.
I was like, I thought we were talking about the community here.
Yeah, I mean, like I get it. Like if the reporters didn't ask questions, we a lot of us fans would be like, "Hey, what the hell? Why are you asking softball questions?" But at the same time, like I kind of get Zach's point where he's like, "Hey, man, we're here to do community work. It's the off season, all that. Like I get it, but we're not trying to focus on me. We're trying to focus on giving back to the community." But I do like. One of the things that stuck out to me in that one was him talking about a culture and all that, and tinfoil hat time. Is he the one that doesn't like taking time off? I don't know. Maybe. I don't actually think it is, but it always comes back to, since I was an anonymous player.
Not here anymore.
Yeah, I do agree too. But yeah, I do like the fact that he said it's culture, because I do agree. The D-backs, I feel do have a really strong culture just in the clubhouse. Just everything we've seen, the players talking. I know, trust me, a lot of us are very frustrated with Torrey, but I do think that he has established a good culture where it just seems like the guys in the clubhouse are all really really tight knit. They bond together well. It seems like they have each other's back. So I could see, again, it sounds sometimes it's just some media stuff. Yeah, Josh, that was a bigly sized tinfoil hat there, LMAO. Like I said, it was more of a joke tinfoil hat, but hey, you know what? I want to find out who that anonymous player was, just so we can know officially. But listening to that video, obviously Zac Gallen's thoughts and all that. What are your thoughts on what he had to say personally about the whole situation? And do you think there's anything in there that kind of stood out to you personally that you wanted to make mention of?
I'm mostly curious about the first part of that where he says like it's not always up to the player. I'm curious what he means by that. Whether it means that the teams aren't extending the offers that they want, or is it the fact that his agent would be the one choosing, or what exactly does it mean by that? But I know you mentioned like his family, like what's the best decision. So I guess I do see it like more or less what he's trying to say, but it's kind of an interesting way to frame it because at the end of the day, I guess it would be his decision, or you would think so, where if Scott Boras gives him two offers, it's up to him to decide for which one. But I do think this is one of those things where last year, I remember we were talking about Christian Walker, where when that offer was made and we saw those numbers, were like 3 years, 60 million. We're all like, that's literally the bare minimum of what we expected him to get. Like, how did the D-backs whiff on that? Did they offer him 2 years 40 million or 2 years 45? Like, what happened here? How did we not bring back Christian Walker for that amount of money? And then we've come to find out that the Diamondbacks gave him literally zero offers. Like, after the qualifying offer, the Diamondbacks apparently didn't reach out to him or anything. So who knows what's going on here with Zach as well. So I can see what he means by that. And I guess we can't be surprised if at some point midway through the year, if Zac Gallen is on another team, they ask him about it, and he says like, yeah, they never actually gave me an offer. So I guess that's something you have to be prepared for. And they're going back and forth a lot with Mike Hazen, Ken Kendrick, just a lot of going back and forth about how much they're going to spend, if they're going to spend as much, a little less, a lot less. There's about $60 million, that this team has to spend. You're going to project them spending close to 190 instead of 200, or they're expecting to spend 170 instead of 200. So just a lot of money that's still left there. But they signed Zac Gallen for $25 million. That's a lot of money coming off the table for this team that they can spend, and they still need another pitcher. Still need bullpen arms. They still need a first baseman. They still need a third baseman. They still need a left fielder potentially because Gurriel's going to be out for half the season as well. So way too many holes to fill here. And so who knows if the Diamondbacks are going to get extended offers to Zac Gallen. And like I said, I would like him to come back. He seems to really like it here. But again, yeah, I did find the answer a little catty, but at least he still answered it. It wasn't being like, that's a clown question, bro, and didn't shut down the reporters or anything. So it seems like this is something that he's still willing to talk about and is obviously open for negotiations.
Yeah, he wasn't pulling a Garrett Cole after I think the 2019 World Series, where in the clubhouse immediately takes off his Astros hat, puts on the Boris hat, and answers questions like, it's like, nope, I'm focused on free agency and all that. Where at least again, it's very media trained answers, but at least he's there to answer questions. I do agree. I think the whole it's not just up to the players. I think that does agree with, or I do think that factors into the the team's payroll, where their plans are, to where a team could offer him money, but it's like, okay, is it like a disrespectful amount where it's like, yeah, cool, the D-backs are offering him $14 to $18 million a year, where other teams are giving him that 20 to 25, where it's like, okay, yeah, like the team offered him a contract, but like, they didn't really respect the player, respect what they were at least like negotiating for, to where I can see why maybe that factors into it, but I just wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, it's like the Pirates didn't offer. It wasn't Schwarber. Who was it? That was like $50 million or whatever weird contract that it came out that they offer. One of the
guys for what was it? The guy that just signed. Oh man, you're right. It was why am I forgetting it? Who's the big first signing?
I completely slipped my mind.
Yeah, it's already slipped my mind. That's just how crazy it is. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the kind of same situation as the Walker, like Gabe said, where halfway through the season we find out where he's like, yeah, they didn't really offer me a contract. But I hope that there's no messy breakup there between the two. But Brandon, listen to that video of Zac Gallen and the way he was answering some of the questions. Anything that stuck out to you, or anything that you wanted to kind of mention that kind of caught your ear when you were listening to that the first time?
It really sounds like he wants to stay. He really does want to re-sign back here. I just hope that the team doesn't do what they did with Walker, and after the qualifying offer, they don't offer anything. They're like, take the qualifying offer or nothing. Like, I hope that they are still going to have negotiations to potentially bring him back on 2 years, 45, like that, like a deal like that, with the second year being a player option or something like that. And his comment about it's not always up to the player, I kind of agree with Gabe, where it could be something where Scott Boras like has a number in line that unless Hazen says that, he doesn't even bring it up to Gallen. Like, is it possible that the team does offer, but the player never hears about it because Scott Boras is like, no, I know what my guy is worth, and we're doing a long-term deal. We're not doing a short-term deal. Like, that's my only concern with it being Scott Boras, is it's not always up to the player because the agent is really the one that's talking to the teams. And Gallen obviously told him what he wants, and Boras is going to get him what the player wants. That's what he's supposed to do. He works for Gallen. I know sometimes it seems like Scott Boras works for himself the way that he negotiates, but he does work for the players. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not holding my breath that he's coming back. But this interview made it seem like it's not like he's like, no, I am done with this organization and I'm gonna move on. I think he wants to come back. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think the one other thing, I know he kind of smiled when he said, is talking about a good place to pitch. I know Chase Field with the huge batter's eye. I know it's not as hitter friendly as it has been kind of in like the late 2000s and early 2010s, but I do think that like the note on that one was also a little bit of like it'd be nice to pitch in a good ballpark, and that's why I think the two New York places. So maybe that was him, but I also don't I'm not gonna read into it too much and think that that's him saying like, oh yeah, the D-backs are off the table because Chase Field could be a hitter friendly environment. I mean, obviously we see some pitchers like do really well, like Ryan Nelson and Brandon Pfaadt, like their home and road splits. Maybe not Ryan Nelson last year as much. He was consistent both places, but I mean, Brandon Pfaadt pitches really well at home, but sucks on the road, to where, Chase Field, just because you're pitching in Chase Field doesn't mean it's going to be a hitter friendly park, but it could kind of factor into a little bit. But that was another thing that kind of stuck out to me. Another thing that Jeff pointed out before we move on into our next topic, he's saying that D-backs have a big advantage with Gallen is that he wants to be here. We would be foolish not to capitalize on that, and I fully agree. I mean, like if the player is very open, especially I know he's about to get married. I know he's engaged to his fiance. Maybe maybe they want to start a family and have a family here, kind of like how Corbin Burns with their little ones. That's why he came here. It's because he just wanted to establish his roots here and be home around his kids as much as often, which I fully get. Like, if you can be around your little ones while they're still young, you want to do it as much as possible.
Yeah, and the thing is, they talked about a lot, making the Dodgers like a destination for guys in free agency, just because right now just the fact that they're winning all these championships. So a lot of guys who are going to be trophy hunting, they're going to go to the Dodgers. But it's something I've always thought about in terms of Arizona. It's like it should be a huge destination for free agents because a lot of them train here. Corbin Burns trained here for damn near a decade with the Milwaukee Brewers, and so it makes sense that he had roots down here, whether his parents lived here or he already had checked out schools or whatever it is. Guys, a lot of guys, they establish roots here. A lot of them retire here. Zac Gallen, I don't know, maybe a lot of his family lives here now. I know he said his fiance and stuff. So these guys are willing to stay here in Arizona. They seem to like it. They seem to want to actually be here. And the Dbacks should always use that to their advantage because guys want to stay here. Nobody likes to travel, half the year. And so the fact that all these guys in Arizona, I mean, obviously there's the guys who are from the Dominican Republic or other parts of Latin America, but for the most part, most guys seem to stay here. They might go for a week or two to visit their families, but most guys like to stay here in the off season, and they should use it to their advantage. I think, again, Gallen seems to really want to be here, and again, they shouldn't lowball Zac Gallen either. But I do think he would be willing to take a couple million, team friendly discount to come back to the Diamondbacks. But also, I looked up what guy the Pirates made the offer is. Josh Naylor. They offered him like
Naylor,
72 million, and he got like 95 million. So
How do we
bit of a
forget
low
that
ball
Naylor
offer.
was the first big guy? Like what? Yeah,
Out of
Yeah.
sight, out of mind.
yeah, seriously. But yeah, so just because a little quick side tangent because you brought up like the Dodgers and all that. I don't know if you guys how chronically online you are. Blake Snell was streaming the other day, and there was a clip online of him where somebody in the chat was like, "It's like, oh, Vladdy's your daddy," and he's like, you know what? Vladdy's in Cancun. Go pick him up on your way over here. And immediately he's like, "No, don't clip that. Let me live my life." Like, I don't know, dude's funny. I hate that he's a Dodger, but it was a very funny video. Go look up on social media. You can probably just type in Blake Snell. Just very very funny. The immediate, just like, no, don't clip that. Like he knows how that works. But yeah, I think even like Josh is bringing up in the chat here saying Gallen mentions personal reasons. Soon to be wife. Spring training is here, so that's a big factor for a lot of players. I do think that could be what it goes into, but. Obviously, sometimes baseball is a business. Players, they only hit free agency. I mean, if like they're Christian Walker, they're pretty much going to hit it once in their career. Some guys can hit it a couple times to where, you want to capitalize as much as possible. So if he does leave,
Over.
I wouldn't hate him for it. If he can stay here, cool. But I don't want us to overpay when we have other issues like bullpen, corner infields, outfield spot to, kind of have to work with. Because I think the money definitely needs to be focused on there a little bit more, especially the bullpen itself. But the D-backs did spend some money, a little bit of money already, going after one of the positions that maybe not as in dire need to make sure we fill in, but it is always a position to have some nice depth in there. They brought back a fan favorite in James McCann, and I think the fan favorite. I know he didn't put up like some absolutely dazzling numbers, but hey, you know what? When you're used to Jose Herrera as your backup catcher, seeing what James McCann did for the D-backs is definitely going to be a night and day difference. But they did agree to a 1-year, $2.75 million deal with James McCann last Friday. It has a potential to earn up to $500,000 in bonuses, depending on time served on the team's active roster. He is 35, but obviously the little bit of time that he spent here after we signed him, I believe a little bit after the deadline. He had 265 homers, 17 RBI. And even like Brandon mentioned earlier, he was really good with the pitching staff. And there's actually some pretty cool graphs that our man Josh kind of cooked up here that kind of just, display like this one right here, average versus OPS, kind of on the offense. Obviously, Gabby, a little bit of a better average hitter in OPS there. James McCann not too far behind, but when you compare James McCann to Jose Herrera, like I'd all day, every day, just off that alone, I'd rather have McCann as a backup hitter because there's not just a black hole in the lineup. Obviously, he had a couple clutch home runs, especially in the lineup. So, he's at least going to provide a little bit more thump. But it goes a little bit further beyond than just the offensive side of the ball, as he did have a big factor on the Power's production. Looking at some of his defensive numbers here, obviously his similar caught stealing percentage. Gabby is going to be obviously higher up there because he is, people don't run on Gabby because they know he's really good. But even just looking at the DRS, defensive run save, Jose Herrera was in the negative, while James McCann actually had more than Gabriel Moreno, which that was a little bit surprising to me. And then also the graphic that stuck out to me the most was just pop time. I know Gabby has the lowest pop time. James McCann was the slowest, but considering, again, I think I'd rather take a little bit more of a downside on defense where it's different because he's still good at DRS. Maybe doesn't throw out runners as efficiently. I know Herrera was, everybody would steal on Herrera, so I'll still take the better defensive runs. Maybe not as good of a pop time, but better offensive production, especially when we can look at the next graph and see kind of what he does with the pitching side of things. Obviously, Brandon mentioned earlier just on the ERA, but this is a big one right here. I know Jose Herrera's not in the graphic, but just Gabby compared to James McCann, the ERA on the pitching staff obviously lower is better. Gabby had an almost 4.8 ERA when he was catching, and or the pitchers had almost a 4.8 ERA combined when Gabby was catching, versus James McCann had a 4.02. So almost a full run difference in the ERA alone when James McCann was behind the plate. He was Gallen's personal catcher for the final half of the year, and we saw Zac Gallen really lower his ERA. His ERA was much worse around the All-Star break. I think he had almost like a 5. I think he had like a 5 something ERA. He was in the one of the league's worst, like top 10 worst ERAs in the league. Where by the end of the year, he wasn't in the top 10 anymore. Obviously, not the greatest, but James McCann really helped him get those numbers down. So taking all those into effect, obviously, not a super expensive contract in my mind. I call it that's Willie Bloomquist kind of money back in the day, in like the 2010s, where players would be signed for 1 year, 1.7, 2.7. You don't see a lot of these $2 million deals anymore, but it's nice to see them at least bring back McCann. Make sure that we don't, hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on any piece of what I can here. Don't have to deal with another season of Jose Herrera as our backup, and actually can get a little bit more veteran presence in that locker room, because I know a lot of guys talked about him being just a good veteran in the lineup, obviously in his mid-30s. But looking at the contract for him, obviously it's only 1 year, but with the incentives, and then seeing the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, what is your initial reaction to the Diamondbacks bringing back James McCann and having this be our first quote-unquote big free agency signing? I know it's not big, but hey, for the D-backs, we'll take anything we can get news-wise. What are your thoughts on the whole James McCann returning to the D-backs on a 1-year deal?
So obviously this wasn't the biggest move the Diamondbacks could make, but this was definitely one of the most important ones they could make, because we saw, at least since Gabby Moreno has been this team's primary catcher since 2023, the insane drop-off from when he's out of the lineup, whether it's offensive, defensive, pitcher ERAs and stuff. Like Carson Kelly was abysmal when he was catching behind Gabby, and then Herrera was abysmal. ADC is abysmal. Like, these are guys who are terrible, or I guess at the time when they were here. I know Carson Kelly had a bounce. Like, I know he struggled really bad in the second half, but for the most part, they have just been insanely bad at the defensive at the backup catcher position. Again, just we've mentioned before, Herrera was just an absolute, oh shoot, I forgot his name, Jeff, whatever his name,
Jeff Mathis.
Jeff Mathis type of catcher. Where,
man.
yeah, sure, he's not going to be great on, a great hitter, but he is just an absolute mastermind and amazing catcher. Can throw guys out like nothing. If it was something like that, then yeah, sure, maybe I wouldn't mind Herrera as much, or even ADC, but again, we see with the numbers and see with the eye test just how different this team is when Gabby's behind the plate and when guys like Herrera or Carson Kelly or ADC are behind there. And we didn't see that insane drop-off once we got James McCann. With James McCann back there, you felt secure and you felt safe. And although obviously you prefer Gabby out there every day, and you started to see him go out there every day as a DH, and that, I think that changed this team's lineup a lot, made it slightly more deep than it was beforehand. And again, this isn't the biggest, but this is one of the more important ones that they can make, because he really seemed to help this pitching staff, and you showed the numbers defensively. He is about league average to slightly above league average defensively, but what matters here is the offense, like the offensive performance. You can't go from a guy that hasn't near 800 OPS to a guy who's barely scraping like 500 or so. You can't have that.
600 OPS, I think.
Yeah, so you can't just have that insane drop-off, and especially having guys who are worth negative wars. Like, at least McCann is in the positive. So, again, it's not the biggest and most splashy move, but I do think having McCann for the entire season is going to pay dividends, because there might be a time when Gabby goes down. I mean, last season, Gabby was healthy until that stupid rain game in Cincinnati when they broke his finger, which, by the way, he hit a home run off of that broken finger. So, it just shows who Gabby is and how great he is. So, it's just one of those things where having both of them, it could really lengthen this lineup. It could make this team a lot better, because we saw that in the second half, what happens when you have a catcher who is, slightly above average offensively.
Yes, I'll take the the league average defense back there, when, especially outside of the pop time, Jose Herrera couldn't frame. He couldn't throw runners out. He could barely block. He's just there was literally nothing good. I don't know why we kept him for so long. Like he didn't really provide anything of benefit to the team itself.
There's just no other options. It's literally him or ADC, who is just even worse than him defensively.
Yeah, and as Josh bring up in our chat saying Gabby home run with a broken finger, greater than Kobe free throws with torn Achilles. True, and Gabby can actually step foot in Colorado still. Um, just don't ever ask a Kobe fan
Oh,
Colorado in
wow.
in I'm just saying, our catcher didn't, go down that route, but our catcher didn't have to buy a giant diamond ring for the things that he did to a lady in Colorado. So thankfully, our goat doesn't have to worry about any kind of those accusations because not a piece of shit. But yeah, I'll take the James McCann as a backup just because offensively, he's going to be a night and day difference between what we were seeing from Jose Herrera for the couple years that he was here. Like Abe said, not many other backup options, but my God, it was anytime he was in the lineup was borderline a punt day where it's like, oh cool, I can't wait to see a runner get on second base and just get a strikeout or a weak fly out. Dude, back when it was like McCarthy, Barossa, and Herrera, all three in a row, it's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm watching a high school lineup here. Like I'm being
Remember that Astros game where he hit with the bases loaded twice?
Oh God. Oh man. There's
I do
thankfully
because I was there.
yeah, thankfully we don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
I came out so mad.
yeah, thankfully we don't have to worry about that much anymore. And we can at least know that the backup roles on the team is filled. And again, not for too much money. I know the D-backs don't have much to work with, so it's nice to know that it didn't cost any more than the 2 million because we got to use every dollar as wisely as we possibly can. But Brandon, passing it on to you, what are your thoughts on the whole James McCann situation? Obviously, the 1 year deal for 2.75 million with the incentives and all that. Obviously, he was only here for 42 games, so it's not like he was putting up some insane numbers. But just what he provides to the team in the short time here. How do you feel about them bringing him back and making him the official backup? And hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on a piece of wood, we don't have to worry about dealing with Jose Herrera anymore.
It's a solid first signing of the offseason. Like, I know that outside of this fan base, everyone's going to be like, why? Why would you sign a 36-year-old backup catcher as one of your first signings? But I think this is a really important move for this team to make. So having a solid backup catcher, because we haven't had one since we got Gabby here. So I'm glad they brought him back. This also allows them to have another person that can play DH, because he's got some thump in that bat. He hit some freaking tower shots when he was here. So
Some clutch ones too.
yeah, I'm glad that he's here, and he just does things that are not going to show up in the box score. Just that clubhouse presence, that veteran presence that's going to help with players like Perdomo, Thomas, McCarthy, Nelson. Like what he did with this pitching staff when he was in. And then the fact, I think the main thing as to why Gallen was so good, they took his pitch calling away, they gave it to James McCann, and James McCann hit it out of the park, pun intended. Like he did a really good job with calling games, because that's what you need your backup catcher to be. Backup catcher needs to be able to call games or be a good veteran presence, because he's got to be able to help out the team in some way, because he's not going to be playing every day. And God forbid, because it seems to be happening almost every year, Gabby misses a good chunk of time. I would feel okay with James McCann starting 4 out of 5 or like 5 out of 6 games for a month than I would with Jose Herrera.
100%.
Jose Herrera, like, it was like, he hit a homer last year. It didn't affect me. Like, I don't know him as a person. As a baseball player, I just was done. And I think they brought him back, if I remember. Like, he cleared waivers, I believe.
Not even like the Rockies want you as a backup, or not even like the Marlins. Like that's sad, man.
So I'm glad that he's back. Did not cost a lot. I said at the end of last season, if you're serious about bringing back Gallen, you got to bring back James McCann, which is what they did. So that was the first steps. So to me, that's all right. So this team probably is serious about bringing Gallen back, because why else would you sign a 36-year-old backup catcher? You wouldn't unless he adds something to this team other than being the backup catcher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I kind of quickly want to expand on the fact that you mentioned the clubhouse thing. Like, he seems to be a leader, something I mentioned a few times last season, which, and actually even the last two seasons, just how sorely this team really needed like an Evan Longoria type. Like, these guys are really young still. A lot of these guys are around 25 years old, and this team needs a veteran guy like Longoria who's going to hold them accountable, who's not going to be an ass or anything. But this team seems to really thrive when they have these sort of these type of veterans on the team that really help shape these guys and whip them to shape. And seems like James McCann was that as well for these guys, and so I'm excited that he's coming back because of that, because he does seem like a Longoria type. And I wouldn't be surprised in 5 to 10 years from now that he is a manager of the year or in contention for a manager of the year type, just because he does seem to be able to hold clubhouses together and hold them accountable, and seems to get along with both pitching staff and the offense as well.
yeah, so I like the way you put it. It's definitely need a Evan Longoria-esque kind of voice in there. I know McCann maybe isn't as doesn't have the same resume as Longoria. I know Longoria obviously has a little bit more stats under his belt and whatnot, but McCann's, it's not like he's a dude that's only played for a couple of years. Like, he's pretty solid. Obviously he got a big contract with the Mets and live up to it, but he's been around the game for a while. And I think that he can provide not even just on the field, but a little bit of an impact off the field in that clubhouse, especially for Gabby. Like, I know Gabby's still pretty young. He could also, be there for if anything he needs there. I think he could just even maybe ADC. Maybe there's something he can work on with ADC to even get ADC to up to, league level defensive metrics, where maybe next year
He could
ADC
be an average defensive catcher. Oh, please.
Exactly. So maybe McCann will have some more effects that we won't just see on the field, but a little bit more off the field. But I think there's just it's a great move in general. I think it's one that obviously outside of the D-backs community, not going to get a lot of fans. Like, there's probably more baseball fans that are casual fans are like, who, what, okay, why are you reporting the D-backs bringing back James McCann? Who cares? But us in the D-backs community know that this is a big move, or at least a good move. And then we don't have to worry about trying to fill that backup catcher hole with either Jose Herrera or ADC or someone else, or at least we have a little bit more consistency and can be a little bit more comfortable in those off days when, especially early in the season when you're trying to keep Gabby fresh for when you get later in the season when you're going to see more, 4-3. Gabby starts 4 games. And then McCann gets 3 a week, or a 3-2, whatever the number of games a week where maybe they can split it a little bit early on. We don't have to worry about dealing with a Houston kind of situation where it's like, oh my goodness, we just punted this game early on the season when every game matters. Like, this is super cool. Great. I'm glad we have a black hole in our lineup after the final six, or the first 6 hitters. But there was a little bit of other, I guess, somewhat D-backs related news as we move on into our third and final topic here. This not only affects just the D-backs, but it also does kind of affect just baseball in itself. As ESPN did acquire distribution rights for not only D-backs but all of Major League Baseball, and what this means for the D-backs fan wanting to watch the game. So thankfully, this doesn't affect any of the plans of the D-backs TV and all that in 2026. So however you guys watch D-backs baseball in the 2025 season should still be relatively the same exact process going into 2026. But it does get a little bit different, in the 2027, if there even is a 2027 season. Thank you, Dodgers, and going and beyond. But there was a nice ESPN article put out here, but it does, kind of break out or expand on the ESPN and MLB getting a new 3-year media rights agreement. Obviously, I think we can all agree that ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, it sucks because Sunday Night Baseball used to be it was one of those growing up, man. I would, no matter who was playing on Sunday Night Baseball, I'd tune in because the
Don
broadcast
Miller
was
and
cool.
Joe Morgan.
Yeah, like, man, it was a great broadcast. That was also back when they had Baseball Tonight. RIP that great show too. So like, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball used to be legendary. But the last couple of years it's been rough, man. It's been almost the same level of Apple TV broadcast where it's dog shit, it's garbage. They always play the same two teams, whether the Cubs and Cardinals, Yankees, Red Sox, or other teams that we just don't like, Braves and Cubs. So there sadly will be no more Sunday Night Baseball, as NBC and Peacock will become the new home of Sunday Night Baseball, which will be interesting. It was a nearly $80 million deal. ESPN will still pay $550 million, while while the NBC part of the deal is worth only $200 million. And they also did get Netflix in part of the deal here. So Netflix is beginning like a $50 million deal. So it's nice to see that MLB is just continuing to grow. Obviously, 5-6 years ago, kind of a lot of us were worried before the pitch clock, which I don't know if you guys have gone back and watched like a highlight game or watched an old game of the pre-pitch clock baseball. I don't know how the fuck it took us so long to adapt. My goodness, like 3.5 hour, 4 hour games. Like Jesus Christ, it was unbearable. The amount of step offs and like pick offs in a row, like it just, I could see why they wanted to implement it there, but. ESPN also does get the in-market streaming rights for 6 of the teams who were produced by the MLB. So obviously that's the Padres, Rockies, Guardians, Twins, Mariners, and the Diamondbacks. So it does, kind of affect the D-backs, but our man Josh made kind of a little graphic that I think will come more into play in the 2026 season. I think it could be the 2026 season or the 2027 season. But I think Josh did make a graphic that kind of shows like how to watch the D-backs and what it would, kind of cost financially. So yeah, if you want to watch every D-backs game, you'll need Fubo TV, D-backs TV, Netflix, Peacock, and Apple TV, which would cost approximately $100 to $150 per month, which is roughly $600+ for the entire 6-month season. So save up those bucks, get a payment plan, start setting aside some money, because come 2027, it's going to become a lot more expensive if you want to watch every single D-backs game, which call me Monkey D. Luffy, because that is not going to be the plan for me. Hello, all those other apps. You wouldn't download a car, so you wouldn't download a D-backs game, right? But what are your thoughts, gentlemen, on the whole deal? Obviously, I know this doesn't affect the D-backs in this upcoming season, but does eventually end up affecting them in the 2027 and 2028 season beyond. And obviously, looking at the prices that it would cost to watch every single D-backs game, what are your thoughts on just the whole deal in general and what it means for watching D-backs baseball going forward?
Yeah, I guess if you want to talk about reasons for a lockout, this is the main reason. Just these distribution rights, these streaming rights as well. One of the biggest reasons why the Padres had to sell, and why right now they're having issues with ownership trying to sell, is because of that Bally Sports contract that they had. It fell apart. They're going to pay teams millions and millions of dollars to distribute them, and they fell apart. So now a lot of these teams are having to still trying to scramble, trying to find distribution rights, and obviously nobody has a lucrative deal the way the Dodgers do. The Dodgers make $350 million before a single pitch is thrown every single year. So I think it's Jeff is asking about like how would this affect the Diamondbacks. If it's a league thing, then that's revenue sharing for the league. So the Diamondbacks, for the most part, it seems like they would make some money with this deal, as long as they're able to at least keep some sort of distribution right on their own, whether it's Dbacks TV or something else. If it becomes an exclusive right where ESPN only or all these other apps only show it, they probably wouldn't make as much money as they might be right now with Dbacks TV. They actually haven't come out and said how many people are actually paying for Dbacks TV either. So it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Like wanting to watch a movie nowadays, it's like you look it up and you're like, all right, so it's on freaking Tubi right now, or just any random place, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna download this app to watch this one movie, and I also don't want to spend $15 to rent it or something like that either. So I say that, and meanwhile, I have like a whole bunch of Blu-rays. I have like 500 or 600 Blu-rays and DVD
Long
boxes
live physical media, baby.
As soon as I saw Mad Men,
you own it. You own the physical media.
I saw Mad Men come off of Netflix like in 2008 or 2011, I think. 2011 or something like that. Netflix lost the rights to Mad Men, and I was like, okay, so streaming is a problem. I am just going to collect anything and everything that I can. So I wish I could do that with the Diamondbacks games. Obviously, I can't. But I mean, for the cost for the entire season, like might as well get season tickets and then just listen to the games on the radio.
Yes, it's definitely. I know even Josh is bringing up in the chat saying you could cancel services and pay for them only when you know they're going to be on those streaming services that month. It does save a ton of money if you pay attention to the schedule, and that's true. But I'm terrible. I mean, like I'd sign up for a car wash membership, and then 7 months later, when I haven't washed my car in a while, I'm like, oh yeah, there's my $20 going every month to my quick quack services. I wondered why. So like I'm terrible about it. I'm terrible at canceling stuff in general. Yeah, just it. We killed cable TV, but it found a way. Sponsor, yeah, Rocket Money sponsor us, please. Rocket Money, please. I'm begging you, please. We killed cable TV, but it just found out a way. It's like the you can kill the man, but not the idea. Like that's the exact same thing as cable always finds a way to come back. My goodness, streaming used to be convenient. I remember when I sound like such a fucking unk when I say this, but I remember when Netflix was like $8 a month, and you had like every movie on there. I remember when like
28 now.
yeah, good lord. I remember when like Avatar: The Last Airbender was on there, like all these other things, but now you got to pay for so many different services. 1 week, like there's 20 different services. I hate it. Just it's very unfortunate, but at least we get one more season of just Dbacks TV.
Yeah, just a quick aside. If you guys want a huge collection of movies and TV shows for free, that isn't like just a random app, look at the Canopy app. That's the app for your local library. So if you have a library card, use the library number and or email whatever is attached to it, and you can get on Canopy. You can watch a whole lot of movies on there. That's what I've been doing. So you have access to I think like 5 movies a month or a few seasons of a TV show every month, and it just re-ups every single month. So check out the Canopy app. It's the best.
I have to do that. Yeah, same. My wife and I are talking about getting like some like physical hard drive, going to the library and just renting a bunch of stuff, and then recording it to our hard drive to have so that way we can still
Ripping it, basically.
yeah, basically ripping, because like don't get me wrong, physical media is nice, but there are some times where I'm like with when I'm like it's so much easier to just turn on my TV, go to HBO Max, turn on Smiling Friends, or turn on Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter on there, versus having to make sure my Xbox or PlayStation is plugged. Like I literally just use my old PlayStation 4 just for watching movies now at this point, or Kayla's Xbox just to watch movies, and we're like it's a little bit more annoying having to make sure it's turned on, HDMI, everything, plug in the DVD, but it is so much nicer because then you don't have to worry about not owning the thing physically. But side tangent over. Brandon, what are your thoughts on the whole ESPN rights and what this means for D-backs baseball moving forward, and just baseball in general moving forward?
Initially, I was gonna get really angry because I love MLB TV. I think it's one of the best subscription services that there is in sports. Like you literally can watch any team, anytime, anywhere. I love it. But luckily, Gambo basically came out and said, nope, D-backs TV still's going to work on MLB TV. So I was like, sweet. So it means it's probably going to still be linked up if you are a D-backs Advantage member, so I don't have to pay for it. So that is great. Also, we don't have actual TV schedule yet. So there's a chance that every single game is on D-backs TV. And that's the only subscription that you need. We don't know if we're going to have any national games. They have not released that yet. I know we open against the Dodgers, so I have a feeling, because I think Netflix has opening day. So
yeah.
I bet I bet that first game will be on Netflix. But yeah, kind of like the whole Apple TV thing. Like there might be 1 month where we don't have an Apple TV game. You don't need Apple TV that month. Same thing with having it on Peacock. We may not have a primetime game on Peacock. So it takes a few clicks. Go to dbacks.com, click on the schedule. It's going to show you what station the games are on. So yeah, maybe do the 60-day look in advance to see what for that month, do we have any games that are not on D-backs TV? So I'm glad that D-backs TV is still going to be a thing. I was really nervous that they were going to get rid of that. We'd have to watch it on ESPN Plus or ESPN Unlimited. Okay, opening day is NBC. Opening night is Netflix. Okay, so that's what it was. All right, that's what I thought it was. Something similar to that. So Yeah. I'm just glad NBC's bringing back. I'm very curious as to who they're gonna get for their broadcast crew because, dear Lord, Carl Ravitch, David Cohn, and it's not Salvador Perez, but it's, or is it? No, it's
No, Salvi's still playing.
Ed, no, it is Eduardo Perez. Those
Ah,
three, if it's not the Dodgers or the Yankees, they don't know what they're talking about, and
yeah,
it
they don't know how to
drives
pronounce
me
people's names. They don't know about the teams.
nuts. So, but yeah, I just wish the season would start. I hate the off season; it's so boring because we're gonna go weeks without any news potentially.
I was about to say, well, I mean, we at least get football, but as the non-Cardinal fan in the room, I
As
know
a
that
Cardinals fan, no,
it sucks.
no,
Yeah, there's definitely more. At least we have the Suns, man. At least we have the Suns, and they're not terrible. So they're actually a lot better than a lot of us were expecting. So it makes the season go by a little
yeah,
bit easier, but I do agree the off season just kind of sucks. Like outside of like Christmas, Thanksgiving, the rest of the off season, I'm like once we get into January, I'm like, oh please, for the love of God, give me spring training. Like I'm dying for any baseball, any news, just give it to me. I can't handle the off season. But yes, I mean, I think that this, even like Jeff brought up in the comment here saying, I'm more concerned with how this deal affects the D-backs revenue. I hope this is better for them than the MLB streaming and allows them to have more spending power to work with. I do fully agree. Even like Abe said, nothing's going to compare to the Dodgers making their $300 million before a first pitch is even thrown of the season. But if it means the D-backs get a little bit more money, we can put that back in the team. I'd be fully okay with it. But I don't know. It just seems like I don't know. Just it seems like an L for the fans in general. Maybe we'll have to let it play out and see. Obviously, especially once we see the Sunday night games, how they're broadcast, all that stuff. But I think that overall, just spreading it out like to different platforms, just kind of is an L for fans. I agree with Brandon. MLB TV was like one of the best apps ever. I love the fact that even if it's not D-backs games, I can watch so many of the games. I can watch, if I want to, a game in California, whether it's the Angels or the Padres or the Oakland Athletics. I'm not fucking calling them Sacramento Athletics. Um,
For me, I just hope it doesn't turn into like what's happening in LA. Like Sportsnet it only covers like a certain part of LA. So there's parts of LA you can live in LA proper and not be able to watch the Dodgers games. Like you just don't have it accessible. It's the same weird blackout system. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, where Arizona and I guess Phoenix specifically, you're not locked out from watching an actual Diamondbacks game, and because that could be huge. I mean, in LA, it's going to be a problem, but also they have a deep enough root and fan base in LA that doesn't really matter as much. But here, I mean, that would be, I guess, the death of the team, where if most of the city couldn't watch the Diamondbacks, and that's where I fear that they might end up having to sell the team just because nobody goes to the games, or nobody watches the games because they're not able to.
yeah, we all know that Arizona. I mean, we see it with the Cardinals. We see it saw it with the Coyotes. Unfortunately, it's a very fair weather state. I think it's because of all the transplants. It's very unfortunate. Just got to accept the reality it is. So I do agree that it could be, depending on what the deal is, could be a negative. I'm just hoping that in general it's a positive. And in any ways we can take honestly, because the way the baseball's been trending, it's been going from a sport that's been very worrisome with just attendance and like viewership, and a lot of young fans aren't into it, where we're starting to see baseball becoming a lot more popular. Yes, it sucks that it's mostly because of Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers glazing him and all that, which I mean, again, it's the greatest player the sport will ever see, so I get why they do the glazing. But if it helps the sport grow, cool. I just hope that this doesn't end up, having the sport of baseball take a step forward, and then this gives it two steps back and kind of loses a little bit of the fans and a little bit of the appreciation that some of the fans have been some getting today. But one more comment from Jeff here before we get out of here, saying that there was some other applicable news today. The Mets got their second baseman. Hopefully means Cattell is staying put in AZ. Mets were one of the only teams I was worried about due to their deep farm system. And yeah, I know the Mets made the trade. Hopefully, again, I've been saying it. I will keep saying it. I think that any trade of Ketel Marte, no matter what the return, makes the D-backs a worse team overall. Like, unless we're getting, Paul Skeens or a Scooble or an Otani or a Judge. I think those are the only four where I could see and again, neither of those trades we're never going to get any four of those. So that's why I say that any trade of him makes the team worse off. But
Well, one of those is rumored to be traded.
what, Scooble?
Skeens. No, yeah, sorry.
Skeens isn't going to be traded for like 2 years. Yeah, say Scooble, but I mean at the same time, like if he wasn't gonna be a free agent after this year, like we're not gonna have the money to bring him back. Two, we always get burned on the money we spend on pitchers. And three, like even if we traded Cattell, it'd take more than just Cattell if we wanted to even trade for Scooble. But I just think that in general, it makes the team worse off. But that's a whole tangent that we can go on another show. That hopefully we can go through the entire offseason, because if we get to opening day and Nick Ahmed for another season remains the fucking all-time games played leader for the Diamondbacks, I will be pissed. I will be pissed, and that's the only way I can put that, because thank you, Nick, for what you did, but the way you left it and the way you were kind of crying, like, oh, my pussy hurt. Like, I'm like, I can't deal with another season of him being the all-time D-backs play leader. But any other final thoughts or anything on, the Zac Gallen, James McCann, or even the ESPN, or even like Jeff brought up, any other topics outside of what we discussed tonight before we get out of here?
No, I'm just, like we brought up, a lot earlier with the Geno trade. That was kind of the outlier, I guess, for the Diamondbacks. And hopefully Mike Hazen is cooking something under his sleeve. He's able to at least get one or two of these big moves that we need done. So then, the team can focus on the other moves and the other guys. And I know there's a lot of talk about moving on from guys like Waldschmidt or Lawler and stuff. I do think there's a way that they can retain all these guys while also filling up these holes. But it just depends on what ownership and Mike Hazen wanted to do.
Yes, I think that there's definitely some room to be made, but just play the offseason smart, Hazen, and don't make us upset, okay? Don't take a couple steps back and do not a rebuild, don't do a retool, but play the offseason smart, and I think we can still be competitive in 2026 as we get some reinforcements like Corbin, Puck, and J Mart around the deadline, because I know we even hate seeing it, but getting those guys are borderline as good as making a trade. Just getting them back on the team. So just play it smart. You can make the team competitive, and we can be hopeful going into the 2026 campaign that it's not going to be just a punt season. But Brandon, any other things you wanted to bring up here? Any other final topics you want to mention, or something that you wanted to double back on that you didn't get your full thoughts in on earlier?
No, I think covered everything. I just want some news out of this team once a week. It might be a little bit of a spoiled child attitude, but it would be great just to get like some D-backs news once a week, just to kind of give us that little tease there that they're actually working on things, because I really don't want to get to like January 15th and the only move we've made is James McCann. That's my biggest worry.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with I don't want to deal with going through the New Year's and like, cool, we've made no moves. All the good free agents are gone. All the good bullpen pitchers are gone. You want Devin Williams? Well, Kirby Yates it is, champ. I don't want to deal with another one of those.
He was at a Suns game, by the way.
Devin Williams?
No, Yates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wasn't he with Merrill Kelly, or was it something different?
No.
Game.
They were both at the game. Yeah, they were both there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
but yeah, just the thing that I've always said with the Mike Hazen, be proactive, not reactive, because you don't want, like you said, you don't want to get to January and all the main free agents are gone. You're left like just at the Walmart bargain bins.
Yeah, no more
bargain bin shopping.
And no bargain bin shopping. Get like actual major league talent that like we can be happy about, and we don't have to worry about. Like no Jake Woodfords, no, like, I know we non-tendered him, but no Tyler Rashi's. Like don't go scraping the bottom of the barrel. Actually try to be competitive and get major league worthy arms, not just quadruple A guys that you got to use because you'll lose them anyway. Like try to at least be a little bit aggressive this offseason, but like Brandon said, sometimes it can maybe be a little bit of a spoiled mindset. Maybe we're just overreactive. Who knows? But that's what we do here as fans. We like to be overreactive. That's just how being a sports fan is in general. But you guys can be overreactive with us all off season long and even all regular season long, as if you guys are a part of the community. So again, make sure you guys join the Discord. It is free. It's in the description below. It's also one of our pin tweets. It's all over. So either here on the YouTube side or on the podcast side or on Twitter, make sure you guys join the Discord. It's absolutely free. We love to see more of you guys join in here, especially get some of your thoughts in as some of these trades and whatnot go down. Got a nice healthy conversation over there pretty much every day, just about like honestly any news going down. So make sure you guys go over there. Follow us on all socials while you're doing it: Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Make sure you guys go over to azsnakepit.com and check out, like I said, all the written content. Our man Josh does put out great written content that kind of recaps some of the articles. So if you want more dispatch in your life and to see some more from Josh, because obviously not only does he make some great videos and great graphics, he is a great writer too. And I generally think that you guys would enjoy the content he puts out of there, as long as all the other great writers over there, like our man Jeff puts up some great articles. Just a really strong community over there that has a lot of interaction. So even if you want to go get your thoughts in there, they also do have like fan posts. So if you are an aspiring writer as well, the Snake Pit is the place to be for you. But again, appreciate you guys spending your Sunday night or Monday morning, Tuesday morning, whenever you are listening to this. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us here at Dbacks Dispatch. The four of us over here really appreciate it, and we hope that we can get some more news and some more exciting things to talk about in the coming weeks. But in the meantime, you guys all have a fantastic rest of your Sunday night, and we'll catch you guys next time on the next episode of Dbacks Dispatch. Peace out.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brennan, Gabe on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it all. Fastballs hum, the bats ignite. 9 innings deep, we fight all night. Wins and losses, highs and lows, we break it down, yeah, that's how it goes. Dbacks Dispatch, turn it up loud. We rep the Snakes, we make them proud. From first pitch to the final fray, we bleed Sun, don't in this game. So hit subscribe, don't miss a play.